Welcome back to my channel Celebuzz. Please share and subscribe and press the bell icon for new updates. The Curly Howard mystery. Finally solved, and it's not good. Curly Howard was born Jerome Lester Horwitz on October 22, 1903 in Brooklyn, New York. He grew up in a working-class Jewish family. Curly was often pushed aside by his stronger brothers, but it quickly became clear that Curly had a special gift for making people laugh. He was naturally shy and quiet when he wasn't performing, but he changed completely when he got in front of people. His body movements were funny, he had childlike energy, and he was great at making things up on the spot. He didn't go to acting school, but what he didn't know about acting, he made up for with natural talent, perfect timing, and the ability to play silly characters with total commitment. Before he joined the Three Stooges, he had different jobs and acted in local theater shows. This helped him learn the silly physical comedy skills that would soon make him famous. Curly officially joined the Three Stooges in 1932. He replaced his brother Shemp, who had left the group to work alone. At that time, Curly had a full head of wavy reddish hair and a mustache. But when Moe and showman Ted Healy told him to shave his head to look better with the group, he agreed, even though he didn't want to. The bald look became famous, and his character on screen was known for a high-pitched voice, big facial expressions, and unforgettable sayings like "nuke nuke," "certainly," and "woo woo woo" that audiences loved. His physical comedy was amazing, and his routines often included falling down, wild hand movements, and an almost magical way of changing his face. Fans loved his endless energy, his soft heart, and the sense of innocent trouble he brought to each show. During their best years at Columbia Pictures, from 1934 to 1946, Curly starred in almost 100 short movies with the Three Stooges. Many of these are now thought of as the best American comedy movies. Movies like Punch Drunks from 1934, Disorder in The Court from 1936, and A Plumbing We Will Go from 1940 are still loved by fans for their fast jokes and Curly's funny acts. He was often the main part of the three-person group. His childlike behavior and surprising actions made the Stooges' routines go from simple physical comedy to an art form of comic timing and creativity. Curly brought a special mix of innocence and craziness to the group, making himself loved by many generations of viewers. Curly Howard's personal life, especially his romantic relationships, was often marked by trouble, acting without thinking, and emotional weakness. These things were every different from his energetic and carefree character on screen. His first marriage happened before he became widely known as a member of the Three Stooges. It was short and full of problems. The marriage lasted only 5 months and ended in divorce. This was a sign of the instability that would mark many of his later relationships. At this time, Curly, born Jerome Lester Horwitz, was still working to make himself known professionally. His comedy genius had not yet reached the national stage. The failure of this early marriage reportedly left him disappointed and led to a pattern of looking for love and approval through short romances. This theme would happen again throughout his life. On June 7, 1937, a date that was special because it marked the 12th wedding anniversary of his older brother Moe Howard and Moe's wife Helen, Curly married Elaine Ackerman. This second marriage was more serious and gave a glimpse into the home life Curly wanted. The couple had a daughter, Marilyn, in 1938. This was Curly's first and only child during this time of his life. Even though their daughter was born, their relationship between Curly and Elaine got worse over time. It was hurt by personal differences, the pressure of Curly's demanding career, and his increasingly wild lifestyle. In June 1940, the couple divorced. While Curly stayed in some contact with his daughter, the separation from Elaine was a deeply personal hurt. It likely added to the emotional and physical decline he began to experience in the years that followed. After his second divorce, Curly's health began going downhill. This would get worse over the next 10 years. He was already prone to weight changes, and he began to gain a lot of weight during this time. This change was both visible and worrying to his family and co-workers. Making this problem worse was the start of high blood pressure. This condition was likely made worse by both his physical condition and the stresses of life on the road and in the public eye. Unlike the fun-loving whirlwind character he played in movie shorts, the real-life Curly increasingly struggled with tiredness, high blood pressure, and many other health problems that would bother him for the rest of his life. The demands of being a member of the Three Stooges only made these conditions worse. During World War II, while their movie production schedule was stopped for about 7 months each year, the Stooges spent their time doing live shows and morale-boosting appearances for U.S. military personnel. These tours took them across the country and overseas, often involving multiple shows per day, hard travel, and unpredictable conditions. Although meant to support the troops, these performances were physically exhausting and emotionally draining, especially for Curly, whose health was no longer strong. He did most of the physical comedy, often doing slapstick routines that required falls, pratfalls, and big movements. All of these taxied his weakening body. During these off-camera periods, Curly was expected to stay sober, especially because Mo enforced strict rules against drinking during work. Mo, the unofficial leader and disciplinarian of the group, understood the need for professionalism, especially given the pressures of live performance. While Curly followed Mo's rules while performing, he frequently indulged in excessive behavior once the show was over. He was a regular customer of nightclubs and bars where he looked for comfort in food, alcohol, and female companionship. This was his way of dealing with the exhaustion and loneliness that came with fame. These nightly adventures often stretched into the early morning hours, adding further to his lack of sleep and physical breakdown. In addition to his indulgences, Curly developed a reputation for careless financial habits. He earned a good income through his work with the Stooges, yet he had little understanding of money management. He often spent his earnings as quickly as he got them, spending money on expensive meals, high-end liquor, jewelry, and gifts for romantic partners. He also had a habit of buying property, often on impulse without fully thinking about the financial consequences. This financial carelessness brought him dangerously close to bankruptcy on multiple occasions. Recognizing how serious the situation was, Mo stepped in as his brother's unofficial financial advisor. He not only helped Curly set up a budget, but also took on the boring task of preparing his income tax returns, making sure that at least some appearance of financial stability was maintained. Mo's help was both a practical necessity and a deep expression of brotherly concern, showing the deep family bond that held the Stooges together behind the scenes. Despite the chaos that defined much of his personal life, Curly had a deeply tender and caring side, especially when it came to animals. Dogs in particular brought him comfort and joy, serving as loyal companions who offered unconditional love. During the many tours and travels associated with his work, Curly would frequently encounter stray or abandoned dogs. He was known for forming quick bonds with these animals, often feeding them, caring for them, and when possible, adopting them outright. On many occasions, he brought these dogs along with him on the road, refusing to leave them behind until a suitable home could be found. This practice often amazed his fellow performers and hotel staff, who were not used to seeing a man of his status carrying around multiple animals from town to town. At home, when not filming or touring, Curly kept several dogs as pets. His love for these animals was one of the few consistent and grounding forces in his life, revealing a gentler, more nurturing side that was very different from the chaotic swirl of his professional and romantic affairs. In a heartfelt effort to provide stability and improve his brother's declining health, Mo continually encouraged Curly to find a stable romantic partner who could help anchor him emotionally. Acting on this advice, Curly entered into a whirlwind romance with Marion Buxbaum, a woman he married after only 2 weeks of dating. The couple wed on October 17, 1945. And while the marriage initially appeared to offer Curly the hope of lasting companionship, it quickly turned into a bitter and angry relationship. The union lasted only 9 months, marked by constant arguments, mistrust, and conflicting priorities. The divorce proceedings that followed were both publicly embarrassing and emotionally devastating. The press, always eager to exploit the private trouble of celebrities, sensationalized the divorce, portraying Curly as erratic and unstable. This media circus had a very negative effect on his health. Already weakened by years of stress and illness, Curly's physical condition worsened dramatically in the middle of the legal battle. Just 2 months before the divorce was finalized in July 1946, Curly suffered a major stroke, an event that not only ended his career with the Three Stooges, but marked the beginning of a rapid and irreversible decline in his health. Yet even after this devastating blow, Curly still sought companionship and a sense of normalcy. On July 31, 1947, he married Valerie Newman, a woman who would become his most enduring partner. This marriage proved to be the most stable and lasting of his life. With Valerie, Curly found a measure of peace and support that had long escaped him. In 1948, they welcomed a daughter, Janie, providing Curly with a renewed sense of purpose and joy. Even as his health continued to fail, Valerie remained by his side through his final years, offering care and companionship during a period marked by frequent hospital stays and declining physical ability. Unlike his earlier tumultuous relationships, this final chapter of his romantic life was grounded in genuine affection and mutual support. The couple remained married until Curly's death in 1952, a bittersweet conclusion to the life of a man whose comic brilliance masked a lifetime of emotional and physical hardship. For decades, fans of classic comedy have cherished the infectious laughter and larger-than-life persona of Curly Howard, the beloved member of the iconic slapstick trio, the Three Stooges. His trademark high-pitched voice, spinning routines, and exaggerated facial expressions brought joy to millions and created a comedic legacy that has endured for generations. But behind the giddy antics and whirlwind energy that defined his screen presence, there was a much darker, more tragic story. One that was long hidden by studio silence, misreported facts, and Hollywood's tendency to protect its stars at all costs. Now, with their lease of recently discovered documents, medical records, and family letters, the mystery surrounding Curly Howard's sudden, physical and mental decline has finally been solved. And what has come to light is both heartbreaking and disturbing. Jerome Lester Horwitz, known to the world as Curly, lived a life full of contradictions. Off-screen, he was shy, sensitive, and surprisingly insecure about his appearance and role in the entertainment world. Despite being the most popular stooge during their golden years, while audiences saw a lovable clown, those close to Curly saw a man who often struggled with depression, loneliness, and a deep sense of inadequacy. The root of these struggles may be better understood today thanks to new insight into his private life, much of which had remained buried due to stigma and lack of documentation. Mental health, now a topic of open conversation, was then covered in shame and misunderstanding. Curly's erratic behavior, frequent disappearances from the set, and sudden mood swings were chalked up to the pressures of fame and the grueling pace of his work. But we now know they were symptoms of far more serious issues. Medical experts looking at his case again believe Curly may have suffered from undiagnosed bipolar disorder or another brain condition made worse by his heavy alcohol use, a known coping mechanism he used to deal with his inner turmoil. These revelations add a devastating layer of context to his final years, which were marked by rapid physical and mental deterioration. In 1946, Curly suffered a massive stroke at the age of just 42, while filming a short called Half-Wit's Holiday, abruptly ending his career as a full-time stooge. Many fans thought it was an isolated health event caused by stress or poor health habits. But deeper investigation reveals that Curly had been experiencing transient ischemic attacks, mini-strokes, for several years prior. These were warning signs that were tragically ignored or misunderstood. Perhaps even more troubling is how the Columbia Pictures studio system treated him during this time. Instead of offering him sustained medical support or allowing him proper rest, the studio pushed him to keep performing as long as he was physically capable, fearing the trio's success would falter without his presence. Studio memos from the period reveal a shocking disregard for Curly's well-being, suggesting he be propped up for just one more picture, or that his condition be covered up to avoid public concern. Mo Howard, his older brother and fellow stooge, tried to advocate for him behind the scenes, but even Mo's influence could only go so far within a system designed to prioritize profits over people. After the stroke, Curly lived out his final years in near obscurity, bouncing between care facilities and brief stays with family. He attempted a comeback with a brief cameo in the 1947 short, Hold That Lion. But Thiemann, who once dazzled audiences with his kinetic brilliance, was now frail, confused, and visibly aged beyond his years. Further strokes followed, leaving him incapacitated. By the time of his death in January 1952 at the age of 48, the world had largely forgotten the man who had once made it laugh. His passing was reported in the press, but without the fanfare or tribute his contributions truly deserved. The recent revelations gleaned from family archives, behind-the-scenes testimonies, and overlooked medical files paint a sobering picture of a man who gave everything to make people happy, even as his own life fell apart. Curly Howard was not simply a funny man lost to time. He was a deeply vulnerable human being failed by a system that didn't understand how to care for him. The mystery surrounding his decline isn't really a mystery at all anymore. It's a story of neglect, stigma, and the price of fame in an era that demanded laughter at any cost. In the end, solving the Curly Howard mystery hasn't brought the comfort fans might have hoped for. Instead, it forces us to reckon with the truth behind the laughter, that even those who make the world smile can suffer in silence, and that sometimes the funniest people hide the deepest pain. It's not the ending we wanted, but it's the one he deserves to be remembered by.